Okay. So I know it's season 36. I already hit Master 1 this season 2. I used Centurion. Here's that list if you want to look at it. But this is going to be season 35's Master 1 deck list that I used. Also wasn't particularly exciting. I was using Melodious. This is the list I was climbing with. Wish this card was at 3. The main thing with this deck list is this deck really, really suffers into maxx. I'll just go over it. I feel like this is pretty straightforward. My non-engine choices. I feel like everything's pretty straightforward in this deck list. We're just playing like a reasonable amount of non-engine. I wish I felt more comfortable playing less, because I kind of want to play extra special summons so that if you like open multiple Melodiouses, like I want playing 3 Concerto and like more names to be good, but like you kind of have to hand trap your opponent most of the time when you go second. This deck actually is surprisingly okay at making pushes, but obviously it depends on your hand, and like Ostinato helps a lot because it lets you go for it and then still use your generic extra deck pieces if you need to. But that's neither here nor there. So just for the main deck, I was not running Prosperity. It was not banned during the season I was climbing with this, but it is now. I didn't really think the deck needed Prosperity. It was probably correct to run for the extra consistency. On occasion I would brick, but also I was running to Refrain for a while because it's a UR, and I refused to craft the 3rd one until pretty late into the run. Regardless, obviously you have your like really good starters of Ostinato, which there's no once per turn on this card, by the way. Ostinato's just always really good. And first movement solo. I honestly think 2 Ostinato hands, low key, just automatically justifies playing Elegy, because it makes the second Ostinato a free Schuberta. I do play 3 of them. The 3rd one came up maybe once. You can play 2 of these. I didn't have a problem with 2 Baka, by the way. When I hadn't pulled the second Baka, I had a problem with 1 Baka, but with 2, I think it's like worthwhile to play the 3rd one. Bloom Prima comes up in corner cases where you need to like push for lethal. I'm all over the place right now. It's fine. I wanted to talk about starters first. So obviously with Ostinato, this just summons one of your extra deck guys, using material from the deck or hand. So if you draw like Chopina and you want to send that to grave, that's relevant. Usually for Ostinato, I will special summon Baka and I will send Refrain and Couplet. I find those two to be the most common sends. There are other specific hands where you'll want to send other stuff. First movement solo, usually just first movement into Refrain, into Couplet. But obviously, once again, it'll depend on your hands. You're basically dying for a maxx out, because when they maxx you, if you do first movement solo, you can like just summon Arya and hope that not being able to be targeted or destroyed by battle will like carry you through a turn. Plus whatever hand traps you have, but like it's a little maxx pretty bad for this deck. I went down to 1 Concerto for more non-engine. I think you running 2 is nice, but eh. But yeah, I wanted to run 3 Soprano, honestly, because this is how you get your extra fusion summons. I misplayed in this deck a lot early on, because it feels easier than it is. But usually my plan was to end on Flowering Etoile, along with Elegy and Arya. Just to be pretty relevant to stop like Tempai from being able to like Raigeki you and stuff, which they try to do anyways a lot. The anti-targeting is pretty good too, and obviously not being able to be destroyed by battle comes up a lot. And then you end on like a Shiburda or two, depending on your hand. Bloom Harmonious, always make sure you fuse this off the field into Tempai, because Tempai will run into it repeatedly and you will die even though they can't destroy or get rid of anything. It doesn't matter if they deal too much damage. Flowering a Twirl is really good. The floating effect didn't come up as much as I expected it to, which is interesting. That floating effect also is the reason why I like playing 3 Baka is really good. Having 2 Flowering a Twirl did come up like once or twice, which I wasn't expecting. I pulled like 9 of it, so I played 2, you know. You're playing Chopina because it recurs cards, and it's importantly a Maestra, which is you need a Maestra for Flowering a Twirl. You need one for Bloom Prima. Bloom Prima also allows you to use Ostinato to make her Sending Chopina, which could hypothetically be relevant. It's not actually relevant. That never came up. Not as the thing that I realistically remember wanting to do. But yeah, Shiburda being able to reset itself, especially against graveyard heavy decks, having a Twirl and freaking Shiburda just completely destroys them, because you just get to keep having like triple DD Crow on field, and it feels really mean, because it's like triple DD Crow that's reset by bouncing your opponent's cards, which usually bounce their extra deck cards. Just remember, I think the tier FT deck people stopped playing because they put Snow to 1, but do remember for that deck, it doesn't matter if they can't destroy your cards or target them. If they deal 8,000 burn damage to you, that game hurt. You're playing Cannon because it can make Baguska. Baguska does come up. I think playing Baguska is good. It's an alternative search target for Refrain if you get Max Seed, and it's the only thing you can do under Max Seed that is any good. But if you start with first move and solo, you can't do that. So just keep that in mind. Typhon actually came up occasionally. That's why it's there. I didn't hate this. Having 2 Bloom Harmonious came up too. Just don't be an idiot like I was. I, on several occasions, would summon a monster I wanted to keep on board to the middle zone and not be able to activate this effect. It needs to special summon 2 monsters. If this gets ogred, it's not pointing to them, to the zones. Also, make sure when you're using Baka to make it activate its effect that you don't Baka summon to the zone. Soprano, by the way, is a win, so make sure it always gets summoned on Chain Link 1 when you're doing Baka and Bloom Harmonious. Keep that in mind. Sonata is hilariously way better than you have any expectation of it to be. Looping Herald of the Orange Light with Chopina is both fun and funny, in my opinion. Not to my opponents, I'm sure, though. Yeah, I had a lot of fun with this deck. It reads a lot more simple and has like a pretty basic inboard than it actually plays, in my opinion. Elegy plus Area is a difficult to break lock, but a lot of modern decks can like play against you, and usually your follow-up, because you have Refrain and Couplet in the scales, is just really difficult to keep up with. But in a way where usually your opponent gets to take game actions. It's crazy. Also, I find just the normal board of this against Tempai basically reads draw Droplet or lose the game. Sometimes you do play 3 games where they have 3 Droplet, and you go, wow, this game sucks. But usually when I play against Tempai, it's very difficult for them to out the board. I haven't really thought about it myself for what Tempai could do to out it without Droplet. But based on the ones I fought, there's not a way to out it. I don't know if that's actually true or not. I don't believe in a lot of Tempai players. I don't think they play very well. My non-engine is basically like outs to max C. I think it's worthwhile to play these. Like I said, I think the decks... this isn't one where a deck I played where I thought, oh my gosh, I need to make sure that if I get interrupted, I need to be able to, like, not die against Tempai. All I thought was, oh my word, I just need maxx to not resolve against me, and I can get to play the game, and I probably won't die. So I just maxed out on those outs, and then for the rest of non-engine, it's like effect failure and perm. Once again, we're not super afraid of Tempai specifically, and these cards are good against not Tempai. Against Tempai, they can be fine, but obviously it depends. If they draw the field spell and they have a functioning brain, they'll like make the 10, get the quick play, and then you just, you know, that you can't interact with them with effect failure or infinite impermanence because you can't play the game because the 10's on the field. However, this deck does allow you to interact with them because of a 12. You can bounce, like you could like imperm and then bounce the field spell, so that imperm affects the monster in question. Like I said, it was usually I would just lose against Tempai when they drew Droplet. Yeah, I don't feel like there's too much to talk about. If you haven't tried this deck, I think it's a lot of fun. I suggest playing it. It's why I ended up crafting the third refrain, because I just enjoyed the deck, and it feels like I'm playing a Melodious deck most of the time. Okay, like, you know, where you're not going into a ton of generics. Like, your import is not going to ever have generics unless you get maxx and you need to Baguska, which happens. I really like Bloom Harmonist, feels really good. Protector of the Agents also is occasionally relevant. It wasn't ever to empty my field. It was legitimately the pop effect that I found good, not just tributing a fairy to empty the field for an Ostinato follow-up. Yeah. I don't have too terribly much to say because it's been a while since I played this deck, but I had a lot of fun with it. Ogre was here for Tempai, and Ubel. I just think Ogre's like pretty good right now. If you're unaware, by the way, Gravity Controller is so that when you go Ostinato, send refrain and couplet, you put Baka in the extra monster zone, because Baka can be effect veilered and impermed. By the way, do try to bait Ash with this card. It's very funny when they use Ash. The problem is, it's not immune to cards that say negate and destroy. And once it's destroyed, it actually does get negated. This is a really weird effect here, because it, like, while you control it, the activated effects can't be negated, but like half of them destroy it, which is annoying. It's very odd, but it can't get ashed, which is nice. But yeah, anyways, you put it up in extra monster zone, and then if it gets impermed or veilered, which is usually what happens, you can link it off, and then this graveyard effect activates, and that's when you can like special summon refrain, and then grab a couplet from deck and move from there. But yeah, it's pretty good. I don't remember too much specific to say after that. If you play the deck, you're going to know more, and you're probably going to think I'm stupid. Like I said, it's been a while since I played the deck. I made a ton of mistakes with it while learning it. But it's good. It feels like a deck that plays its own cards as its in board, and they just printed new cards that help you get to that in board. Aria and Elegy on an in board are very difficult to deal with. Do remember that Goddess kind of outs the whole board, by the way, because they'll usually like freaking remove a toil, and then it negates everything on the board. So, that can be pretty relevant. I don't remember it actually coming up, but it can. just in case you're thinking about it. All right. I'm going to shut up now. Later.